Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Nick from forexfornoobs.com with the daily analysis. Today is Thursday, the 15th of October 2020, and the time is 10 a.m. here in the UK. You're looking at let's go up to an AUDUSD daily chart. And once again, my absolute brilliance is on display here. My brilliance in picking amazing trades. Aren't I just amazing, guys? No, I'm mostly kidding. Well, no, I do think I'm amazing, but I'm kidding about I'll just shut up now. But yeah, all right. I was kidding because obviously I'm on a really good run right now, where I'm sharing a lot of really good trades. But obviously, don't get carried away with thinking every trade I call is going to be a winner, because just realistically, every trader goes through these periods, and I still get overconfident when I get into these periods, right? So when I'm in a period where I'm taking a lot of good trades and I'm rarely taking a bad trade, I start to get a bit cocky. And of course, at the start of this webinar, I was just kidding. That I don't get that cocky, but I do start to get a bit cocky and a bit overconfident. And it's really, really important as a trader that you learn to rein that in, right? Because if you don't rein that in, you're going to start making mistakes. So it's just something to keep in mind. Don't get too cocky when you're on a good run, because that bad run is just around the corner. You're going to take a bunch of losing trades in a row, and then you're going to feel the opposite to cocky. Then you're going to feel like absolute crap. You're going to feel like you can't get anything right. And it's important to rein those feelings in too, and to just keep trading and trading and trading, because you're going to hit periods like this again when you're just taking winner after winner after winner, and then you're going to hit periods where you're taking loser after loser after loser, and that's just the reality of trading. So yeah, we are AUDUSD has dropped down and hit target. I extended this a little bit, but not too much. So when we talked about this yesterday, and I believe on Tuesday's analysis too, we were my target was 1.5, but if it started dropping down really, 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 really quickly, then I was going to extend that target. So last night, just before I went to bed, it dropped down pretty quick. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to extend that target out to 2, and I'll leave it until morning, because generally speaking, around the Open of London session, you get a little bit of movement. Now, the movement happened mostly before the Open of the London session. It happened at 7 a.m. But yeah, it did happen. So I extended it down to 2. Now, I could have extended this further, which would have been awesome, but I extended it down to 2 here. 2R. There we go. I extended it down to 2R, and then by the time I got around to taking a proper look at my charts, it had already got me out of the trade, which was pretty much this spike down here at 8, or it was a little bit after 8, because I kind of didn't look at my charts early enough. I really should have looked at my charts a bit earlier, but it spiked down around here, boom, took me out of the trade. Yeah, whatever. If I had properly looked at my charts, if I'd gotten up early and instead of just wasting my time doing other stuff, I'd looked at my charts, I probably would have extended this one further, just because of how fast it was moving. It was moving very quickly, so it just made sense to extend it further. I didn't extend it further. I'm out with 2R. If you're still in because you did a better job than me and looked at your charts and saw how it was moving, then awesome. Hold on to this one. I would not be surprised if it runs all the way down to the 0.70. But yeah, so far so good with this trade. I'm glad it's worked out well for most of you. Who's that guy that exited yesterday? I don't want to pick on you, man, but are you here today? He's a new member. And he exited yesterday because of this candle. It started pulling back, right? And that's another important lesson. And it's mostly new people who do this. You know, trades don't go in your direction straight away most of the time. This is actually a pretty rare occurrence, a trade like this with a candle that's this big. You know, it's not very normal for price to just barrel straight down towards your target. We had a 1-day break where it stalled out, but then over 3 days, it just went boom, straight to target. So yeah, to anyone who closed this trade out, you can see that panicking over this kind of little candle. What are my drawing tools? Oh, damn it, I didn't start them. Whoops. One sec. Need to start the software so I can draw on my chart. CMAC, don't do that, man. Don't re-enter trades. That's an extremely bad habit. Don't do it. You got in a trade, you made a decision to get out, which was like a bad decision, but you can't fix your bad decisions by making another bad decision. Sure, it paid off this time, but well, not most times, but a lot of times it won't, and you're just going to be in a deeper hole. Just when you enter a trade, do not micromanage the trade. Get in. If you're in a trade, check it every few hours, see how it's going, and set a limit to the amount of time you spend checking it, right? So the most common reason why people close out their trades early is because they'll check on it too often and they'll spend too much time looking at the trade. And the more time you spend looking at the trade, the more that you stew on it, the more that you make up your mind that it's going against you, and then you close it out. If you say, I'm going to check my trades every 2 hours and I'm going to spend a maximum of 5 minutes looking at my trades, you're not giving yourself time to worry about it, and then do something else. Don't close out your trades just because they're not going straight in your direction. It's the worst thing you can do in trading. You're shooting yourself in the foot, and then getting back in is even worse. But anyway, good trade. EURJPY, for those of you who got, I didn't get into this one. For those of you who are in it, just hold on to this one. It's going well. No real reason to exit. It's a pretty fast mover, really. So that's pretty good. And USDJPY, for the few of you who entered this one, it's hit target. So probably this one can be struck off the list. Because I don't think many people entered this one. But EURJPY will keep on the list because I'm sure there's some of you who are still in it. Have I started the recording again? What? Is something wrong with the... Lisa, should we make a habit of exiting trades or just see them through for better or for worse? Definitely just see them through. No, so I think you misunderstood. I said I needed to start the recording. So basically, the recording software allows me to draw on my screen like this. I don't actually use the recording. So I think I just said something like, I need to start the recording software, but yeah, I shouldn't have even said that. I just kind of was thinking out loud. But yeah, it has nothing to do with the recording. It's fine. It just allows me to draw on my screen when I need to, like that. Yeah, Lisa, to answer your question, just see your trades through, especially if you're new to trading. Just take it and don't close it out. When you're new, you don't know the right time to close out a trade. And it's something, honestly, that is very hard to teach. It's mostly something you learn with experience, because the line between closing out a trade for a good reason and for a bad reason, it's a very, very fine line. And sure, you can learn that from parts of the course, but ultimately the implementation you're going to struggle with. No matter how well I teach it, you're going to struggle with the implementation because you don't have the experience. And it's only through trading that you get that experience of knowing when it's the right time to close out a trade. You can have a methodical approach to it, of course, a systematic, methodical approach, definitely. But still, that implementation of it, of that approach, of that systematic approach, the implementation of it is not something that is easy to automate without some experience behind it. So as a new trader, it's best to just take your trades and let them run. Don't close out early. And just learn to desensitize, or not learn to desensitize, just desensitize yourself to trades that are turning back against you. Because when this was happening, I was absolutely not phased at all yesterday. I was just like, yeah, I'm leaving it open. But as soon as you become phased about, if you become disturbed that a trade's moving against you and you start making bad decisions like closing out early, well, look what happens. The guy yesterday who was here, I don't think he's here today. He closed out like here or something, so he made barely nothing on this trade. CMAC got back in, so he's paid spread twice. And he's got a worse entry. He got into an extremely risky trade on the second run because his stop loss would have still had to be up here. So his risk to reward ratio was atrocious on the second trade. That's not good. That's a bad habit. That's an extremely bad habit. And if you do that, you're just reinforcing bad habits. But anyway, guys, we're here to do analysis. We've spent 12 minutes talking psychology. So let's pivot back to the analysis. Just remember, don't develop bad habits by closing trades out early, and don't develop worse habits by getting back in to kind of try and fix your mistake. And I'm sorry to pick on you, CMAC. It's just, I try to teach these things by being somewhat harsh, because it's the best way I learn, when someone is a little harsh. But if you want me to shut, I was about to swear there. If you want me to shut up, just say so. But anyway, guys, yeah, okay. Another quick announcement that I was supposed to make at the start of this webinar. From here on out, we'll only be doing one webinar per week for free members. Traditionally, what we've done is Tuesday we had a webinar that was posted publicly to YouTube. Wednesday's webinar wasn't. Thursday's webinar was. From here on out, only Thursday's webinar is going to be posted publicly to YouTube. And members of Forex Mastermind, they get analysis on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, whereas non-members only get analysis on Thursday. I'm going to try this out for a while, see how it goes. For all of you who are in here live, doesn't affect you really. You're going to get analysis as usual. And also Monday, just to be clear, is not video analysis, it's written analysis. And it could happen on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. That's a pretty flexible analysis depending on the week and what's happening. Anyway, AUDUSD, if you're still in it, hold on to it until it hits, until it gets further down. You want to tighten that stop loss. You want to place it at the very least a break even, but you could also put it up to like 0.5 or even 1R. If it was me, honestly, with a trade moving this fast, I'd lock in 1R. So I'd put my stop loss around about here, lock in some of those profits. Or honestly, what I would do really is close out part of the position and move my stop loss to 1R. So I would close out 50% of position, move my stop loss to 1R, and just let the other 50% run, see how long I can let this one run. At least down to here would be my goal. So this support area, which is roughly around about the 0.7030. EURJPY, just keep it open until it hits your target. I don't see any reason to close that one out. GBPJPY, yeah, this one's not really doing what I want it to do. Still waiting for it to push up to resistance. Let's keep a close eye on that. EURAUD is a little bit disappointing right now. What I wanted to see on EURAUD was price stall out on resistance, but now it looks like it's blasting straight through resistance. So we're going to keep an eye on this, see if it pulls back. But there's still definitely potential for it to stall at resistance. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. USDCAD. USDCAD, we were waiting for price to push down to support, but it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. So let's just take this one off the list for now. And same with USD CHF. This one's off the list for now. CAD CHF, nothing much going on here anymore. We identified it as a potential trade yesterday, but nothing much going on. And EURCAD, this one looks pretty much good to go. So we'll talk about this one in the summary in a little while. So let's look for some new setups. AUDJPY fast approaching support. Keep a close eye on this. Oops. No. GBPAUD is pushing up to this resistance area. A lot of the AUD pairs aren't moving. We're gonna see if that move is consistent or if it's going to stop. Now, we got the unemployment rate at 1:30 a.m. I didn't really think that was going to have much of an impact, but I'm curious to see if that's what caused it. No, because the move was... Well, let's go to AUDUSD because that will be the... Ah, see, the unemployment didn't cause any move. Interesting. So AUD is just moving. AUD is just moving. Cool. So GBPAUD, we'll come to it in a second in the summary, but just basically looking for a turnaround here at the resistance area. So with EURJPY, do you use a trailing stop? If I was in it, no, I don't use trailing stops. I trail manually. Now the manual trailing can definitely be automated with some sort of indicator or EA rather. I don't automate it because I don't often, I don't really trail that often. But yeah, you can use a manual trailing system, which is pretty straightforward. Basically, the closer you get to target, the tighter you make your stop. So at 1.5R, you might want to have your stop at break even. At 2R, if you're not closing out, you might want to move your stop to 0.5R, so on and so forth. And there's exceptions for if it's moving really, really quickly, if it's just barreling down towards your target, where there's a lot of momentum, you can trail a little bit closer. But yeah, I would be trailing, I guess, if I was in this. It's hard to say because I'm not in it. So, you know, it's hard to say how I'd be handling a trade if I was actually in it because the psychology is different. But I would like to say that I'd probably have my stop loss right now sitting around about 0.5R. All right, let's keep looking for potential setups. Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of new stuff, but there is some new stuff. So let's go over that. I decided to make this little thing saying summary when we get to the summary portion, just to make it easier. That way I can link directly to the summary for people and they won't have to sit through the whole webinar of me just talking nonsense. So summary time. EURJPY, for those of you who are in that, just keep it open until it hits your target, which should be around about 2R if it's not there yet. AUD USD, this one has hit my target, but had I been up early enough and looking at my charts early enough, which I definitely should have been, but I was lazy today and I just stayed in bed. Had I been looking at my charts early enough, I would have kept it open, but I've been closed out at my full target of 2R. If you're still in it, hold on to it, tighten your stop loss, move your stop loss to around about 1R and just let this one run. It has potential to move down to 0.7030 or so. If it starts pulling back, you might want to close it out. Just send me a quick message, an email or a Skype message, and I'll help you out deciding, because it obviously depends on your goals, your plan, and your trading style. And if you're a bit confused about it, I can help you out on a kind of one-on-one level, which I think is better than just giving a generic close it out here, because it's going to differ for person to person how to manage trades from a psychology standpoint, from a risk management standpoint, and from just how much money you have in the account and how you want to grow your account. Righto, GBPJPY, this is a potential setup. We're just waiting for price to push up to resistance, stall out at resistance. Euro AUD, this is a potential setup. We're waiting for price to stall out at resistance. Right now, it looks like it's going to just blast straight through it, but who knows? It could stall out here. This is a range setup, so we got price in a range between these two levels. So essentially what we want to see is price stalling out a resistance to short towards the bottom of the range, which is here. And this is a potential on the smaller time frames too. So looking at this 8-hour, the 12-hour, just looking for price to stall around about up here. So definitely some potential on Euro AUD. Now on to something that is a little bit more interesting, EURCAD. EURCAD, and also actually, speaking of which, no, never mind. We had the same kind of setup on AUDCAD yesterday, but it's shot down, so this one's no longer viable. But EURCAD, price is stalling out on support. So what I want to do here is potentially enter a long trade. EURCAD's not that bad of a cross, but there are some small issues, I would say, with EURCAD. AUDCAD looked a little bit better, in my opinion, but it never turned into a setup because it dropped down. EURCAD's the worst looking of the two, and the reason for that is that price tends to get trapped up here in this choke point. So by the time it reaches the choke point, you've only got around about 1.5R, which is acceptable, but it'd be better if it was 2R. That being said, you could enter a long trade here on EURCAD at around about 1.5472. That's potentially what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a little think about it, just because I'm not too sure if I want to open a trade on Thursday, knowing that I'm going to have to exit over the weekend. Really, that's it. I'm exiting over the weekend because during these crazy times with the US election and no one really knowing what's going to happen there, I feel it's extremely unsafe to hold a trade over the weekend. And I'm not that interested in opening a trade today when I'm going to have to close it out by like 12 tomorrow. I'm going to be in this trade for what, 24 hours? It's not going to hit target in 24 hours. It could do, but it's highly unlikely. And I'm going to have to close it out over the weekend. So I might open it. I'm just not sure. I'll let you guys know on the forum if I do. AUDJPY, this one's pushing straight down to resistance. We're just waiting for price to stall out on resistance. GBPAUD, price is pushing straight up to, sorry, I meant to say support here. I think I said resistance. We're waiting for price to push to support, and we're waiting to go long from support. And GBPAUD, we're waiting for price to push to resistance, and we're waiting to go short from resistance. And do I think CAD-JPY will be a setup? Let's have a quick look. No, I don't see any viable setup here. I think I know what you're thinking. You're thinking continuation setup. And this is definitely one of the most confusing things for people, based on me being asked this question quite a bit. It seems to be quite confusing for people, but I only trade continuations when the major trend is in favor of the continuation. So if we have a major bullish trend, I'll trade a continuation. There's nothing about this that says to me the bullish trend, there is a bullish trend. Nothing about this really tells me there's a bullish trend. Price for the past, let's say 3 months or so, 4 months. June 4th. Yeah. Over 4 months has been moving sideways. It's made no significant gain, bullish gain in the past 4 months. So nothing about this says that there's a bullish trend here. Therefore, I'm not looking for bullish continuations. So this price stalling out here is not a valid bullish continuation trade. So no, not looking at CAD/JPY at all. So that's pretty much it for the analysis, guys. Are there any questions? What about USD CAD? Alrighty, so that wraps it up for the analysis, guys. Thank you very much for attending, and I'll see you for Tuesday's analysis. Once again, free analysis is going to be Thursdays only from here on out for non-members, but for members, everything will go on as normal, so don't worry too much about it. Oh, sorry, Jackson, I didn't see what you said. Do you see the long-term trend AUD going down against the USD? I don't know, man. I don't really know long-term trends. It's not something that I'm really good at predicting. That's not the kind of trader I am. I just trade what I see. So if I see price action telling me that price is going to drop over the short term, over the next few days, I trade that. What's going to happen over the next few months? Honestly, I don't believe anyone really knows. I think most people who say they know are kind of just making it up. And global geopolitics, economics, they change so rapidly these days that it's very hard to predict long term what a currency is going to do. Like, for example, Australian tensions with China right now, that's going to have a massive impact on the Aussie dollar. No one knows how those are going to turn out. Are they going to ramp up? Are they going to just kind of simmer for the next few years? Or is Australia going to change government and the new government wants to become best friends with China again? Who knows? I don't know. I don't think anyone truly knows. It's all up in the air. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, you have a big purchase. I don't know what to tell you, man. I ain't an expert on this stuff. And anyone who says is an expert is probably not an expert. But anyway, guys, thanks for attending, and I'll see you guys for Tuesday's webinar. Bye-bye.